Sorry about that. I'm hearing audio controls in my head. So welcome to today's Marilyn Gives More webinar. 4 weeks to go until Giving Tuesday. It's hard to believe, but we are only 30 days away. So first, I want to share a couple of things about Maryland Nonprofits' involvement in Maryland Gives More and also about today's webinar, and then I'll introduce our presenter. In the meantime, I would appreciate it if everybody would press *6 on their phone to eliminate any and all background noise. Great, thanks everybody. So in case you aren't aware, Maryland Nonprofits is the state association of nonprofit organizations. Our mission is to help nonprofit organizations achieve their missions more easily. We offer assistance with the important things nonprofits need, like best practices in management and governance, discounts on insurance, or in today's case, fundraising. We are the organization leading the Maryland Gives More campaign, but as such, receive no additional financial benefit or gain. It's our honor to serve in this capacity to benefit the nonprofit sector in Maryland. I did want to mention membership with Maryland Nonprofits is available to any interested organization in the state. If you're not a member and would like more information about joining, please visit our website, which is marylandnonprofits.org. If you're a current member, thanks so much, and I'm glad you're on the webinar with us today. A few notes about today's webinar. To eliminate background noise, we'd appreciate it if everybody would mute their line during the presentation. If you haven't done so yet, you can do so by pressing *6 on your phone. Because we'll all be muted, please submit any questions that you have during the presentation via our chat window, and we'll answer them in a facilitated Q&A at the end of the presentation. We will be recording today's presentation, and you'll receive both a copy of the presentation and, I'm sorry, my telephone keeps ringing. You'll receive a copy of the presentation as well as the webinar recording in a follow-up email. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce our speaker, Jamie McDonald. Jamie is the president of Generosity, Inc. Her mission is to spur people to give, act, and innovate on behalf of communities, causes, and schools. After 16 years as an investment banker, Jamie shifted her personal mission to innovation and growth of the generosity economy. In addition to working with hundreds of nonprofits on their individual fundraising, in 2013, Jamie led the Be More Gives More.
The conference has been muted.
Sorry, everybody. I'm muting everybody's lines. Sorry about that, Jamie. So in 2013, Jamie led Be More Gives More, the Giving Tuesday movement that raised $5.7 million in a single day and earned Baltimore the most generous city in America honor. In 2014, she served as the lead advisor to Maryland Nonprofits' Maryland Gives More campaign that raised $9.2 million, as well as leading Network for Good's record-breaking Giving Tuesday campaign, which engaged nearly 4,000 nonprofits in a day of generosity, tallying more than $4 million. So needless to say, she's a generosity expert, and we're very lucky to have her here with us today. Jamie, let me unmute your line.
I took care of it. Thank you.
Oh, great. There you are. Take it away.
Thanks, Allison. And Allison, you might want to just do one more chat shout out, just because I see that we've got quite a few people who are logged online but who are not on the call. But hello, everybody. Great to be with you. I see some familiar names who've attended past Maryland Gives More webinars, and thank you, Allison, again for your leadership in doing what we know will be another year in which Maryland earns the most generous state in America honors because of the work that you do, and more importantly because of the hard work of people on the phone and others around our state who have really dedicated themselves to changing the lives of citizens and residents of our community, and who have jumped into Giving Tuesday as an opportunity to to engage supporters around your work and launch the giving season in a really exciting way. Just one point that I'll make about my work today, which is that through the work that I've done leading the civic campaigns that Allison mentioned, I have been brought onto the team at the 92nd Street Y, which are the founders of Giving Tuesday, to work with cities, states, counties, and towns all around the country. And this year, I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to serve as an advisor to more than 50 communities across the United States. And in that role, I'm getting to see even more of what really works on the ground. And so much of what we're going to be talking about today is the culmination of that set of experiences about how to really take these last 4 weeks leading up to Giving Tuesday and position your organization for success in whatever success means to you, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, with exactly 4 weeks to go, I want to reassure you that it's not too late. While certainly more time allows for more extensive planning, I actually think that sometimes more time can be our enemy because it makes you feel like you've got plenty of time to get things done. When there's 4 weeks to go, there's no question that it's time to jump in and really be focused on the pivotal strategies that will help your organization accomplish its Giving Tuesday and year-end goals. And we're really going to focus on the 12 ideas with sort of the associated tasks against each of those that you can begin to focus on the minute that we hang up from this call and push yourself toward a great Giving Tuesday. I want to reinforce the idea that it's worth the effort. I know all of you are here, so you probably are already believers, but if there's anyone on the phone who's still questioning whether it's worth the effort to get involved in Giving Tuesday, the data is pretty irrefutable at this point. This is just one study, but I like this one from Network for Good because it's a cross-section of more than 10,000 nonprofits from 2014. And so what you see is in the far left, organizations that were Network for Good clients who did not participate in Giving Tuesday and what they raised through the entire month of December. Then if you move over and look at those organizations that didn't do Giving Tuesday but had a branded giving page, we're going to talk a lot about your brand for Giving Tuesday as we go through this presentation. Obviously they raised much more in the month of December, but look what happens when you look at organizations that participated in Giving Tuesday. They're raising 3 times as much as those organizations with the branded page and 10 times as much as those organizations without a branded page who didn't participate in Giving Tuesday. And then finally, if you're lucky enough to have both, if you participate in Giving Tuesday and you have a great online giving page, look at the results. So you can see that, that participating in Giving Tuesday all by itself is a powerful way to really supercharge your year-end outreach and engagement. If you do it and you're partnered with an online giving platform that gives you the ability to really carry the branding all the way through with your imagery and your messages, you have an even more powerful year-end ask. Because the reason that that's also important is because what you all do for a living in terms of your engagement of supporters is you're really about spreading the idea that you can make a difference, that you combined with the supporters that engage with you have the potential to change a life, through education or housing, or perhaps it's changing the life of an animal or changing all of our lives because of the advocacy that you do for the environment. But what you're really about when you're engaging supporters is you're about spreading the idea that together your supporters and you can make a difference. So, it's 4 weeks to go. There's no question it's a sprint to Giving Tuesday, but we're going to take a step back today and we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to talk about the building blocks that you can put in place today to get your campaign going, and then we're going to finish this call with a big group, we believe we can do it cheer, saying, we're going to be ready for Giving Tuesday and we're going to make it a great day for our organizations, but we're also going to have a great day as a state. So just launching right into the, to the 12 strategies for success. So some of you who've participated before, and I see some familiar names, know that I'm a big believer in big goals. I think that goals serve as the theme and the rallying cry for your campaign. Goals really help you set your compass in the direction that is going to move you toward an end result. And goals are really the rallying cry for the people that you're going to need to get behind your campaign. Goals can be about a wide range of things, so goals don't all have to be focused on dollars, although for most people a big part of Giving Tuesday is the potential to raise funds for your organization. But goals can also be focused on donors or new donors, young donors. Recurring givers is one of my favorites because, hang on one second guys, I've got a dog barking in the background, I'm very sorry.
Come on.
You can see I've saved a few dogs from the SPCA myself, so I'm one of those believers. Sometimes social followers is one of the most important opportunities that you can pursue on Giving Tuesday, because perhaps you're an organization that doesn't have a lot of experience with individual donor fundraising. One of the ways to really establish a building block to put your organization in a place where it can do more of that over time is to really think about whether building your social following is a goal that you want to pursue for Giving Tuesday. And then finally, you may want to think about a goal that's all about turning this whole thing on its head and giving back, and we'll talk to that a little bit more at the end. But once you decide which of these you're focused on, then it's about setting something that is ambitious enough and meaningful enough that you can actually get people excited to work for it. What I find all too often is that organizations will set a goal that is so easy for them to accomplish because they're so concerned about failing that they really sort of get to the end line, they've accomplished their goal, but all the people that got behind sort of shrug their shoulders and say, so what? So, from where I sit and from the campaigns that I've seen, it's much more important to set a goal that is a bit of a stretch, because your team will understand if you don't accomplish it first and foremost. And I'm a big believer that you just you're transparent about it. You raise your hand, you say, this is what happened, this is what we learned, and this is what we're going to do differently next year. But at least if you've stretched, if you've gone for something big, people will feel like they were part of something that was a big effort. And if you do hit it, which, in my experience, 9 times out of 10, an organization that has the guts to set an ambitious goal for themselves, they do hit it because they're all kind of revved up and working at it. It's so much more satisfying and fulfilling. So think hard about your goal and pick one of these on here, set an ambitious target, and then really rally your team around helping you to accomplish it. It's very important that your campaign has a theme. Giving Tuesday is not a day for just your typical, general appeal kind of ask. It's really a day when you want to raise funds for something specific, and you really want to tie it together with your iconic story. So if you look at this example, this is a great example of 2 things I always like to tie together, which is a human story with a little bit of data. In my experience, if you can do sort of an 80-20 or 90-10, 80 is the human story, 20% is the data that supports it and talks about the scope of what you do, that's a great mix to really help people feel that emotional connection, but also to help them feel like the scale of your work is meaningful enough that they can really make a difference. And so this campaign is very tactical. It's centered around a theme of someone named Harry. And if you look at this, you kind of press the video button here, you'll hear Harry tell a story about his experience in need of shelter. And the entire thing hangs together. So they talk about this iconic story of Harry. They back it up with the fact that Harry's one of 50,000 people in New York who were homeless. Then their campaign is all geared toward the fact that you can help support nights in homeless shelters for individuals who need it. So if you look on the right-hand side in the black box, 1,475 nights of safe shelter for men and women were raised with this $73,000. So it's incredibly tangible. It's all synced up. And so when a donor gets the email that talks about this campaign, then they get to this page which reinforces that. And then when they follow through to their online giving, that messaging carries through. So you can see them make a donation. So they never forget why they're there. And that's really what helps the campaign to all come together when you've got to get somebody's attention in 30 seconds. So on each of these subsequent pages from here, we're going to actually tie this into a little checklist so that when you sit down after today and you're looking at these slides and kind of putting your campaign together, you've got the specific things that you can kind of check off that we're talking about as we go through this today. 2 points at the bottom, which you don't have to do, but which I recommend, is if you have the ability to have even a small amount of matching funds, this is another place that it's important to sort of call that out, because matching funds are incredible motivators for people both to give and to give more. And so to the extent that you do have the access to even a small pool of matching funds, make sure that you make that one of the key messages that you share. And then finally, some of the most successful Giving Tuesday campaigns tie in with sort of continuity to the overall year-end appeal. So you may have one goal, might be in this instance, if we follow this example here, maybe it was 1,000 nights of safe shelter for Giving Tuesday, but maybe you want to do 2,500 nights of safe shelter by year end. So there are ways to kind of create that continuity in your messaging that ties your Giving Tuesday appeal into the giving season as the launching pad, but then carries through all the way through year end. Visuals are incredibly important, and in some of our past webinars, and these are all on the Maryland Gives More site, you can go back. I've got a whole, in our storytelling webinar, we really dug deep into quality visuals. But just to kind of hit a couple of the high points here, it's really helpful to have a Giving Tuesday campaign logo that distinguishes your Giving Tuesday campaign from other outreach that happens through the year. This could be as simple as just grabbing the Maryland Gives More logo or grabbing the Giving Tuesday logo from givingtuesday.org. But this also could be more creative, where you take what you do and you tie in. Like the University of Michigan, obviously a big school, but they do for Giving Tuesday Giving Blue Day. There's a number of zoos that for Giving Tuesday do Giving Zoo Day. There's a campaign that's called Give Together, TUE. I mean, so think about how to create a Giving Tuesday campaign logo if you've got time that ties into your brand and ties into your message. And again, that kind of separates it out in your supporters' minds from your typical appeal. If you've got access to a designer, throw it their way and let them, give you some creative ideas. But if you don't, you can also create a very, very simple Giving Tuesday campaign logo on a free site called Canva, CANVA.com. And I love Canva because they make it easy for you to drop your imagery in with some fun fonts and colors. It's sort of Photoshop for dummies, and it's a great site for pulling something together for your campaign. Strong visuals that tell the story. You guys could probably tell that this is a St. Jude's Children's Center visual where these children clearly each have those beautiful round heads with no hair because they're in treatment, and without saying much, these images tell a powerful story. If you have access to video, video is great both for actually sharing the story of your campaign, like on the page we saw before, but video is also great for social sharing, and video can be the sort of the really grassroots communication vehicle that you choose to use. So you can ask people on their iPhones or sitting in front of a webcam to just take 30 seconds and tell you why they're passionate about the work you do. And this could be your staff, this could be your board, this could be clients where it's appropriate, this could be volunteers. That stuff is golden in a campaign because it gives you really powerful, authentic, meaningful communications that are spoken from the heart that allow you to spread your message without it just being you saying, we do this great thing, we do this great thing. It's letting other people be your sort of the missionaries for your cause. If you have access, if you've got data, that can be put into an infographic, this isn't critical, but it's a nice to have if this is something that you already have access to. And then one of the most fun ways to create social content, in addition to some of these other ideas that we've already talked about, is the kind of staff at work, clients being served images are really great for sort of helping your supporters see kind of on the ground what you do every day. And so again, these can be very spontaneous and they provide great social sharing content. One of the biggest mistakes I see over and over and over again is that nonprofits want to load up their appeals with 20 different things that they're showing and asking. If there's only one thing that you take away from today's conversation, and I hope you'll take away these 12 great ideas, but if there's only one thing, this might be the most important thing on here, which is if you're going to develop a campaign and you're going to reach out to people, make sure they understand what you're asking them to do and why it matters. And so this is the homepage for Charity Water. They're one of the best nonprofit marketers out there. And one thing that you'll see is their campaign where it's between the words can and for, so where it says jump in cold water, that's actually a fading in and out of different things that you can do for clean water. But it's very clear when you look at this that you're defining the donor's impact. You can do this. You can do this for clean water. You can give, you can jump in cold water, you can raise funds for your birthday, you can support us on Giving Tuesday. It's very clear that what the donor's impact is, what you need them to do. The thing that jumps out at you on this page is that bright blue button. Again, there's no question that the call to action here is to start a campaign. And then where there's room, you can always have supporting messaging. That's the subtext here that starts with our campaigners have. And that's all you really need from a call to action standpoint in your emails, on your page on whatever site you use. Make sure that you've got the impact and at a minimum that call to action, that button that's telling people what they need to do, and then a little bit of text if possible that reinforces the message that you're trying to share. The next thing, and I know this is a little hard to read when you're looking at it on the screen, but Allison's going to be sharing all of these slides, and you'll also be able to see these up close. So whether you're a large organization or a small organization, it's really important to think ahead about how to engage the key people on your team. And so what I've defined here is key staff, key board, and then other constituents, so volunteers, ambassadors, and others. And what you want to do is really think about, what are we trying to get done, and who has the best talent against each of those activities. And so, you can see that against key staff, we have somebody that is geared up to manage the social ambassadors, somebody that is going to think about people who are doing personal fundraisers if you have that. Not everybody does. And the key storytellers, or the key gatherers of the stories of your work. And key board members can make donations. They can offer matching funds. They can do personal outreach. Some of them could do personal fundraisers. So what you see is that you start to see how you can really tactically lay out how to best use each person in your inner circle so that everyone has manageable responsibilities. You'll see my third bullet here is set expectations with clear responsibilities and timing. One of the most important things if you're going to engage people to help you with Giving Tuesday is to tell them what you need from them. So for example, if somebody is being recruited to help you be a social sharer on your, on their social channels to spread the messaging that you're putting out for Giving Tuesday, you want to let them know very explicitly that every Tuesday, or maybe you're going to every Tuesday and every Friday, we're going to send you a shareable piece of content, a video, an image, a story, and we're going to ask you to take 15 minutes and spread that out to your social networks. Will you join us in that effort? So you're telling them what you need, you're telling them what you're going to do to make it easy for them, you're defining the amount of time. This makes it so that people actually follow through. They know what they're signing up for. They don't feel overwhelmed by sort of this unpredictable ask that can come their way. So this is one of those really key opportunities to actually leverage your team's efforts by making sure that you set expectations with the folks that you're asking to get involved in the campaign. If you continue down the checklist, you want to make sure that that you're giving them things regularly. With 4 weeks to go, you should be sharing Giving Tuesday related content at a minimum probably twice a week. And in the couple of days right before Giving Tuesday, the Friday after Thanksgiving and certainly Monday, you probably want to share something each of those days. If you do have matching funds, make sure that they're equipped with the information because you want them emphasizing matching funds. And then make it fun. If you have the ability to do it, send them each a T-shirt. You can get $6 T-shirts at Vistaprint. Send them a T-shirt, involve them in the campaign, shout them out on social media for being so important to your work, but really engage them and make them feel like they're part of the spirit of the day. In terms of social media, kind of really drilling down on the ambassadors, think about building an inner circle of 10 to 15 ambassadors who can really be those message amplifiers for you. And look, if you're lucky enough that you're an organization that has a much bigger network, go bigger. But at a minimum, think about 10 to 15 people who come from your board, your staff, your donors, friends, clients, your executives clearly. Think about people who have big voices, and that can be big voices because they're credible, or it can be big voices because they have big social followings. And that's an easy enough thing to check out online. You can just go to somebody's Facebook page. You can see how many friends they have. You can go to their Twitter page and you can see how many followers they have. Identify those key people who you really think can help to amplify your campaign. And like we said on the slide before, enlist them. Set the expectations. Tell them what kind of content you're going to be sharing with them. Make sure they understand the matching funds, and again, follow this sort of make it fun and rewarding idea, and then give them lots of shout outs and appreciation, because the people that really jump in to help you with social sharing, they're naturally kind of social people. So make sure you're recognizing their efforts as part of your outreach, because they'll be retweeting that too, and it's just kind of spreading the love. It makes everybody feel good about being involved. We talked at the outset about the importance of branding, and this is branding across your channels. So in the Gear Up to Giving Tuesday, you want to be sure that the lead image on the homepage of your website, that the lead of your emails, that the lead in your social channels, the image on your Facebook page, the image on your Twitter background are all uniform, and they're all tied into your Giving Tuesday campaign. So if we think about that example we showed early on with Harry, if that image of Harry and that sort of story of Harry is your iconic brand for your Giving Tuesday campaign, you want that to carry through all of these channels so that everywhere people go, they're getting reinforced. Some of you may know the marketing rule of thumb that it takes 7 touches to get people to act. If you don't know that rule, you certainly have lived it when you're watching a show on TV and you'll see Pepsi or Coke or McDonald's or any of those sort of super duper marketers. You'll see them do the same ad like over and over and over again, because they know it's going to take multiple times of you experiencing it for it to actually break through. So again, think about how to really reinforce that messaging as you build out your campaign. And then here are a bunch of places where you can think about doing that. And then finally, the last checkbox here is make sure that things are mobile friendly. Nothing's worse than you create a beautiful email and it's got a great story and it's got a beautiful image and it's got a perfect call to action, but it's on a mobile unfriendly email, and it's so small in somebody's phone where 70% of emails are opened that they can't even see it and they can't act, and you lose them. So make sure that you're working with a mobile-friendly email provider, and that all of your images and text are mobile, and your donation page, very importantly, is mobile-friendly. And that's all stuff that most providers these days offer. But if you don't have that, it's worth making sure that you address that before Giving Tuesday. Ideally, create a calendar. It's important that you plan out your communications so that, again, you don't sort of overwhelm your supporters with that information fire hose. You want to have it mapped out in such a way that they're getting information at sort of intervals that keep them engaged but don't make them feel overwhelmed. I really like this resource from Network for Good. You'll have the link when you receive the slides. And I won't spend too much more time here because you're going to get a great template for following when you click on this link. But I'll make two other points. One is that you really want to think about planning your Giving Tuesday campaign in the context of your year-end outreach. We talked about that a little bit a moment ago. But most importantly, plan for 90 days of follow-up and stewardship with the donors who give to you on Giving Tuesday. It's important to think about those donors that give to your Giving Tuesday campaign as the beginning of an interaction with you and not the end of an interaction with you. If you think about it in that framework, then you really think through what's the right kind of thank you for me to send, not just the automatic thank you that will come from your online giving page, but a personal thank you of some sort. What else should they get right before year end? What other communications do I want to make sure that I have in place to steward them and make sure that they understand the impact of the gift that they made on Giving Tuesday? So think about a stewardship plan, putting that in place now so that you're ready to go with that on Giving Tuesday. Next is go through your donor's experience. So we've put in place now through this discussion lots of great building blocks to building up to a great campaign. So now your digital assets are all in place. Your emails are thought through. Your brand is thought through. Now it's time for you to pretend that you're your donor. And maybe get 2 or 3 other people to do it too, and have everybody go through and make a $5, $10, $15 donation to your nonprofit. And start with a test email or start with a social link. Click into your website, click into your online giving page, go all the way through the process, and really be critical. Would you feel good if this was what you experienced giving to a nonprofit? Is this good enough for your donors? And then try it on all different kinds of devices. So try it on a computer, try it on a tablet, try it on a phone. Identify and fix those pain points before Giving Tuesday gets here, and you'll make sure that you have donors who get to your page and actually complete their donation. The data is that about 60% of the people that get to most giving pages will abandon, and the reason that they abandon is because the pages are complicated or they're not branded, so that somebody gets to this sort of page that all of a sudden has nothing to do with the campaign that they were getting inspired by, and they kind of say, oh, I don't think I'm going to give because it's just a form. So go through your donor's experience and see if you've really optimized the potential for them to feel great about giving to your organization. Now let's think about some of the fun stuff. So again, all your building blocks are in place at this point. Now it's time to really look at how you really kind of kick off the campaign and get people excited. So it's terrific to do some kind of a little internal event for your team. And that might be as simple as just getting everybody in one room, telling them the goal, showing them the site, get them excited. But it could be something more than that. You might want to bring in pizza for everybody and talk through the campaign and invite people to kind of sign up, your staff, your board, your clients, invite people to sign up as social ambassadors, like in the context of all sitting in a room together and getting excited about what you're doing. Then think about how you actually sort of get the initial word out about what your goal is for your campaign. Now this is a little trickier if you decide that you just want to do sort of a general appeal, but if you're doing what I recommend, which is, let's say that you decide that you want to try to fund 50 nights in a homeless shelter, so something very clear and specific, then you can really launch that. You can say, we're so excited to be launching our campaign to provide 50 nights of housing to homeless families in Baltimore. Watch for updates on, and stories of people who we've served in our work. So there's a real kind of reason that you're launching. If you're just doing a general appeal, that's a little trickier. It's not right or wrong, but it does make it a little harder to have sort of that anchor rationale for doing a launch. So give that some thought, and then really work that across all of your channels. Plan the big day. Giving Tuesday is almost by definition a day that's really fun and exciting. You ideally are going to want to have some kind of a Giving Tuesday war room, party room, depending on how you want to think about it. You're going to want to assign roles for your staff people in terms of, I really like the idea of making this a day of sort of outbound interaction. You may want to make it a thankathon from your staff. You may want to actually have people, asking people to support your Giving Tuesday campaign, and they can be doing that by phone, by text, through their social channels. You want to have lots of food in the room because you want to keep the energy high. Ideally have some kind of a thermometer or a tracking mechanism if your online giving page doesn't have it, where you can be watching how your supporters are rallying around your goal. And you want to celebrate various milestones as you go through the day to really sort of keep the team energized about doing the fun but hard work of sort of bringing a giving day to its conclusion. And then finally, and I alluded to this in the beginning, for some organizations, they really don't, for whatever reason, they don't feel like Giving Tuesday fundraising is a strategy that makes sense for them. We've seen this once or twice in certain kinds of food-related organizations because Thanksgiving is such a huge day for food organizations. And so one way to really think about how to garner a great positive impact from Giving Tuesday and maybe some social followers and some new non-monetary supporters is to think about how to maybe turn the day on its head and really participate in the spirit of the day, which those of us who work within the Giving Tuesday movement, our belief is that Giving Tuesday is about all forms of generosity. Money is just one, but people can donate time, they can donate kindness, they can donate talents. There's many, many ways to be involved in Giving Tuesday. And so one of the ways you may choose to be involved in Giving Tuesday is to have your team perform an act of kindness or perform service instead of raising money to do your work. And so that can really be a way to sort of turn the day on its head, but still really, garner that positive support that comes from doing something generous on this Global Day of Generosity, and it may also make your team feel as though, in the spirit of the day, they are coming together to do something good on behalf of other people, and so it can be a really unifying moment for your team. So with that, we want to open it up to questions, and really everything's on the table. Obviously, we really have been focusing on kind of the 4-week tactics, but if there are things that we haven't covered, go ahead and type in your comments in the chat box, and I'll be happy to field any questions that you have tied to the things that we've talked about today or anything else related to Giving Tuesday.
Hey, Jamie, this is Allison. Hey,
Allison.
Can I mention a couple things?
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of the Maryland Gives More campaign. It's our statewide Giving Tuesday campaign. We want to declare Maryland the most generous state in the country, and we need your help doing so. And, this webinar is a perfect example of the helpful campaign planning resources that we're organizing to benefit you. So I encourage you all to visit marylandgivesmore.com and subscribe to the Maryland Gives More campaign as a partner. We will send you helpful resources every Tuesday in a Tuesday's Tips email. We will also, on Giving Tuesday, kind of do what Jamie was talking about, keep a temperature of what fundraising looks like statewide and just kind of like rally excitement and media attention to, highlight how important Giving Tuesday is here in Maryland. So, please go to marylandgivesmore.com and subscribe as a partner. We'd love to tell your story to any interested news media. And the only way that we'll know if you're participating is if you subscribe as a partner. So that's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to mention is we're doing one more free webinar this Thursday, so 2 days from now at noon. We have partnered with a fundraising platform called CrowdRise. So in case there are any of you out there who, are kind of hemming and hawing, like, gosh, we don't have all the capabilities to do all the bells and whistles things Jamie was talking about, the unified branding and sharing videos and all that stuff. Well, CrowdRise is a great tool to help you do those things. It's a really simple online platform. It's very pretty to look at. You can totally design your own campaign, have photographs, have video, talk about your story. The CrowdRise platform is mobile optimized, so that was something Jamie mentioned. And they're charging really low fees for Giving Tuesday. They have a 3% price guarantee, and they offer anyone who donates to your organization the ability to cover all of their own processing fees, in which case you would get to keep a majority of the dollars that they donate to you. So if you're interested in that and you want to learn more, there's another free webinar on Thursday, November 5th at noon, and you can register for that webinar on marylandgivesmore.com. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
So let's see. So there's a couple questions. Allison, do you want to moderate these? And
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we got a question earlier that I think you already answered. How does Giving Tuesday play into the end of year appeal? Mm-hmm. Did you want to talk about that
Sure,
again?
Yeah, I can talk about that some more. No, I think it's a really important topic. So there's a lot of different ways that you can tie together your Giving Tuesday appeal and your year-end appeal. One simple way was the idea that I discussed earlier, where if you want to accomplish one goal on Giving Tuesday and then kind of continue building toward a bigger goal at year-end, that's a simple way to do it. But another way to do it is to think about a theme. An example that I've seen is there's a school that wanted to it's a charter school, and they didn't have funds for out-of-school programming. So, they had the funds to cover the school day, but they didn't have funds for art, for music, for a band. For sports, and so they created a campaign that was themed for the entire month of December on funding those important out-of-school time activities. And on Giving Tuesday, they made it all about raising money for the band. But then for the rest of December, they focused on sports and recess. And so the whole campaign really hung together. But Giving Tuesday had one particular piece of it, and then the rest of their year-end appeal was focused on other pieces of it. And they had an incredibly successful campaign, and then their thank you was filled with pictures and videos of the kids actually participating in the activities that they raised funds for on Giving Tuesday and through year end. So they really took that stewardship piece seriously and used that to really close the loop with donors to help them see the impact of their donations.
Excellent. Okay, another question, also really important, is apparently this is a newer organization and they don't have any great pictures or visuals yet. So I know you mentioned Canva.com. Mm-hmm. Are there any other maybe free graphic design tools that you're aware of, or
if it's a matter of images, there's two suggestions I'd make. One is that you could reach out to Be More Photography. They're a local, they're actually a nonprofit themselves, but they are a local organization in Baltimore that does photography for nonprofits, and they do it for free. Now they're busy themselves, and this is clearly a time of year when it could be hard to get them. So if for some reason it's too late to reach out to them, the other thing you can do is press the repeat button on your phone and walk around and take lots of pictures. I know that sounds crazy, but in a pinch, you got to be scrappy. And if you take enough shots, you're going to catch some good ones. And then you can use filters. You can make it a little moody so that if it's not like a perfect photographer's kind of shot, these days you can still do so much with an image to make it, moving and beautiful. If you actually think back to that charity water image, one of the things that they did was they clearly had kind of a brown filter that was over the entire image that kind of faded the image back from the blue button. So again, you can think of creative strategies like that. Yeah, there you go. So you can see that image is definitely got sort of a filter over it so that their bright blue button really jumps out from the page. So don't worry about getting it perfect. I mean, that's all of our goal, but something that is, that's moving and authentic is more important than perfect if you have to make a choice. So don't be afraid to just take lots of pictures and find a couple that you think work.
Great. Okay. We've got a question that I'm not sure I understand. If we participated in Maryland Gives More last year, do we need to recreate a page this year, or do we use last year's page again? I think she's referencing CrowdRise, and the answer to that is you need to recreate your page this year. So if that's if you meant something different, just chat it to me in the chat window. Okay.
Can I answer Linda's question here on CrowdRise?
Yeah,
clarify
sure.
it? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Linda, actually CrowdRise has changed their pricing. So they do give donors so there's no cost to donors to donate, period. And historically the nonprofit they've had a certain amount deducted from their fees, but what CrowdRise put in place about 7 or 8 months ago was this 3% guarantee where they really encourage donors to consider covering the cost of processing. But whatever the donor doesn't cover, so you may have donors that cover 0 and you may have donors that cover 100%. Whatever the donor doesn't cover, CrowdRise covers so that the nonprofit pays no more than 3%, and that's just standard credit card processing fees. So they recognized that they wanted to be delivering more value to the nonprofits that were on their site, and that's why they made that change. So there was a point in time when they had a more complicated and expensive pricing structure, but they've completely revamped it. And now, again, donors have the option. They don't have to cover anything, in which case there's 0 cost for a donor to donate, and the nonprofit is guaranteed that they will not pay more than 3%.
Great. Thanks, Jamie. I also want to mention that just because Maryland Gives More has partnered with CrowdRise does not mean that we're endorsing CrowdRise as the only fundraising platform solution. If you're very comfortable with the donate page on your website and you have a great relationship with your credit card processor and you want to just stick with what you have, that's perfectly fine with us. We don't want to tell you how to run your fundraiser. We just want to count the dollars that you fundraise on Giving Tuesday. So on MarylandGivesMore.com, there is a page called Support a Nonprofit. And on that page, we're listing every organization that's a partner of Maryland Gives More. and we're linking directly to their donate page or their CrowdRise page or their Razoo page or whatever fundraising platform they're using. So, if you would like to if you want your organization included on that page, we're happy to do it. There's instructions on the page of how you submit your information. So I hope that clarifies. So a couple more questions. Is there boilerplate web page language from Marilyn Gibbs Moore's site where an organization can build their own page? The answer is yes, kind of. If you go to the CrowdRise page, you can certainly see what other organizations have done. It's very clean and uniform. And then you can kind of mold your page off of their example. And I'll give you that link in the chat window just a second. Let me get to it. Jamie, do you have any other suggestions from Network for Good or anything?
I think that, there are these days there's so much great content out on the web that if you're looking for, a basic kind of online giving template, almost any one of the online giving sites that you might choose to work with will have some pretty standard information that you can use. And and it's less about how you highlight the Marilyn Gives More campaign, although obviously we appreciate it being called out because we think it's one of the sort of the double benefits for a donor is that they can help you and they can help the state have a great day. But you also can really sort of get those, like we've talked about today, those best practice recommendations from a lot of the providers. And so it's going to depend a little bit on who you choose to work with. And there are a lot of great ones out there. Definitely Network for Good, CrowdRise, Fundly, Classy. There's a bunch of them that you could choose to set up your page with and put out that simple messaging that's going to drive people to support your work on Giving Tuesday.
Yep. Okay, so another question. If your organization only has 2 weeks to prepare for Giving Tuesday, what would be the most important pieces to focus on for maximum effective reach?
Well, I guess, if you think about your campaign as sort of input and output, the two most effective things would be to really make sure that you've got maximum reach through either email ambassadors or social channels, and then of course that once somebody gets to you, so if they click to your page, that they know what to do when they get there. If you only are going to do two things, those would be the two things. Those two things are really layered with a lot of other things that we've talked about today, but those would be the things that I would really sort of say, like, if you're only going to do two things, that's where I'd start.
Great. Let's see. So we got a question, how long does it take for partners to show up on the Marilyn Gives More page after you've submitted your info? And I can tell you, because I'm doing them myself, it usually takes less than a day. It gets crazy as Giving Tuesday approaches, but we definitely try to get you listed as quickly as possible. Another question, I can only pull up the homepage of MarilynGivesMore.com. How do I sign up? There's a subscribe link, so you should be able to scroll down and see the site navigation, and there's something that says sign up or subscribe. Sign up, so sign up. Okay, do we have any other questions? If you press *7, you can unmute your line and ask a question.
And we'll be sharing the slides and a link to the webinar recording out, Allison, tomorrow?
That's correct. I'll be sending an email tomorrow. Look for it, mid-afternoon. And Jamie, did you have any closing remarks?
No, just, this is the last in the webinar series. I know some of you have participated in a number of the webinars that we've done with Marilyn Gives More, and, best of luck to you on Giving Tuesday. It's always fun for me to now that I work kind of all over the country, it's fun to be working in my home state, and obviously I want to keep the crown here at home. So, so definitely, think through how you make the most of your campaign this year, and if there's anything that I can help with, I think you all know my website. You can tweet at me at Generosity, and that's GENERO_CITY. And I will answer you. There you go. There's my Twitter handle. So tweet your questions at me, and I'll answer them on Twitter, and then be happy to to see if I can help get you to the right person if it's not something I can answer. But we really want to make sure that you're well equipped to have a great day.
Great, and I just want to remind you to subscribe to the campaign as a partner, and then come back to MarylandGiveSmore.com on Giving Tuesday and report in your dollars raised. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great
everyone.
evening, and we'll be in touch.